Hello everyone and welcome to the Kaunitz mod for Napoleon Total War. This mod is and further advancement on his previous mod for Empire Total War, and it aims to bring the most realistic battle mechanic as possible with this engine. This is a multiplayer battle between me and the creator of this mod, Kaunitz, and it was a very interesting battle. Here you can see my troops moving into position. My strategy for what I aim to do in this game was to have a strong brigade to hold Kaunitz's troops here around this area and send a flanking brigade to try and cut him off from retreats. You can see Kaunitz's troops trying to advance from across the river. This mod is remember, it's a 4-to-1 skill mod, so this is quite a long distance, so I couldn't just charge straight at them when they were crossing the river. Well, I couldn't because of the distance, and also because the units now lose cohesion, here represented by tiredness while walking. So you have to stop your troops constantly to redress their ranks and regain cohesion. Anyway, you can see troops are moving into position, and soon you'll see my original plan backfiring. Not backfiring, but Kaunitz's bold move made it impossible for me to apply the plan as I intended. Anyway, a bit about my army. I have 10 battalions of infantry, 2 of which are converted grenadiers. I have 2 batteries of artillery, which I'm keeping here. I was trying for a while to find a good firing position around here, maybe, but it's almost impossible to have a good firing position in this area of the map, because you have trees and hills on the way, so I couldn't really see them. So that relegated my artillery to both my batteries to a supporting position, where they will advance with the infantry and try to wreak some close-range chaos. Anyway, I have 4 squadrons of attack cavalry, 3 of cuirassiers and 1 of dragoons, 1 of light cavalry. You can see I'm keeping a strong reserve of cavalry here, able to support both sides of my troops, both brigades, and serving as a link between the brigades. And I have an extra squadron here. Now I see Kaunitz's dragoons starting to appear. This is where I noticed them, so I had to halt my cavalry and think about what to do next. In a panic for a bit, like, having 2 squadrons of cavalry units here. The main difference between this mod and Empire Total War is that in this mod, cavalry units represent 2 squadrons instead of 1. And having cavalry appear on your back is never nice, which means I've advanced a bit too harshly and too quickly. Anyway, I had to order my cavalry to counter their attacking cavalry, which is already exhausted, which is good because my cavalry is just tired. And yeah, the chase began. All my other troops redeployed. So at this point I decided to send 2 squadrons of cuirassiers after his cavalry. I just can't afford to have cavalry rummaging about in my backyard. While I tried to keep 2 squadrons in support of my infantry, as they were intended. With this cavalry squadron, an interesting thing, well, at least I find it interesting, happens is that you can the force you bring is actually its full army division. You have 2 infantry brigades with a cavalry brigade in support and supporting artillery. We are just a bit undergunned at the moment, because we can't represent the full amount of guns we need for this kind of troops. We need some extra, according to my math, making an average of 3 cannons per 1,000 soldiers, which was normal, I think, in this period. Sorry to interrupt that line of thought here. The remainder of Kaunitz's cavalry appears, forcing me to withdraw these dragoons, not to get too excited, so as not to, be bludgeoned. And I brought my cavalry. I actually didn't notice during the battle that these were 4 squadrons of dragoons and 2 squadrons of cuirassiers. I thought he had more cuirassiers. If I had figured they had some dragoons, I probably wouldn't have moved all my cavalry, because cuirassiers are much better than dragoons. But we played with the rule of having 3 cuirassiers tops. So it's like you have a cuirassier regiment, and then you can bring all the supporting cavalry. Anyway, cavalry is arriving, very tired. And this squadron is... I also brought a battery of artillery to try and shred his cavalry. To support my cavalry, to make sure that I win and don't lose a lot of cavalry. Anyway, now... this is my first attack on these Grenzes, which was kind of bludgeoned. I thought that having this ridge over here and, well, their troops' fire wouldn't be too effective, but Jesus, they lost almost half their strength. They just had too many infantry battalions nearby, and it was too close, so their fire was very destructive. But I routed his light infantry, giving me an edge in range, because I have mine here. Playing without flags is amazing, because battles get really confusing. You never know how many units you are seeing, and if you are just seeing those because, well, they're just those, or if there are more in the back. You'll see later why this is important. Well, anyway, I keep advancing with my cavalry. Kaunitz is trying to withdraw his. So I advance mine, which is now with a lot more cohesion. These ones are fresh, which is good. Fresh cuirassiers, very deadly. I deploy them in 2 lines, as you can see, as it was the usual formation to attack, because troops in the back of the 2 first lines wouldn't really matter in a clash. Now Kaunitz starts to move his cuirassiers and his cavalry to here, more or less. He's going to try and take out my flanking brigade, but I thought he was actually trying to circle around it and try to catch my cavalry on the back, which would take a long time, but since he was retreating here, I thought that was what was going to happen. So it would be a bit against time to see which one could deploy first in a proper position. Anyway, my light infantry is arriving. My general is getting to his position. I actually forgot that in Empire Total War, well, let's explain this the other way. In Empire Total War, your general is not the first unit you have to choose, so it's not always visible. Here it is, so if you want to launch a surprise attack, your general shouldn't be in the position where your attack is coming from, because otherwise you will be visible and your surprise effect will be lost. Anyway, I move my dragoons and cuirassiers a bit forward, but I'm bringing the remainder of my cavalry, while leaving a small gap for artillery to fire. But Kaunitz, probably having spotted my artillery, I don't know if it was in range or not, decided to charge me. So I missed the beginning of this charge, so my dragoons just received the charge, gallantly, as they should, and it is proper. And then I ordered a counter charge with my cuirassiers, with 4 squadrons of my cuirassiers, which is good. So I counter charged these dragoons, which were broken almost immediately because they were with very low cohesion, and received a charge of armor-clad cavalry. And I ordered my other cuirassiers to just charge on their flanks. So chartered with 12 casualties, and here I pulled my dragoons away, but rear malus penalty settled in, and well, you can guess the rest. So I ordered two of my squadrons of cuirassiers to the ones that were here to countercharge at these cuirassiers, 2 squadrons, and I sent 2 other squadrons of cuirassiers to charge on the flanks, which caused this unit to break almost immediately without casualties, which is great. And as they were trying to rally, they got shattered because, well, routing units die a lot. Oof, so many casualties, ugly. But that's an engine limitation one has to take into account, which is impossible to circumvent. Anyway, here he charged his cuirassiers at my general. I thought he was going to charge at my artillery, so I immediately started to remove it. I ordered my voltigeurs, my light infantry, to target their cavalry, and to give extra support I had to remove fire at will from this battalion here. Even though this battalion had a unit of voltigeurs in the front, they are in open order, so I could actually fire between their ranks, so to speak. Jesus, the cuirassiers haven't got a single hit. Yeah, it's very long distance. Now they broke basically, without casualties. Just because now my voltigeurs are starting to fire finally. So I lost 2 men in my voltigeur units. Skirmishers in Napoleon Total War work quite well, and in this time scale you can use them quite effectively in this engine. Here is Kaunitz's advance on my flank, and I placed my grenadiers, which are old guard units basically, to form a square and pour some fire. Only they were very tired, so their fire wasn't really effective, even at medium distance, which is, I think it's a bit too much basically. So now he hits, and this caused a mass rout basically, his cavalry. But I couldn't order this unit was hit in the flank, and I couldn't order it to turn and fight, because although they are doing something of the sort, because they had to keep in check these 2 units, these 2 battalions of infantry, which will begin exchanging fire. Yeah, so basically you broke these guys with his cuirassiers. The old guard, probably because they are steady and exhausted, probably because they lost the support in the flank, they probably lost a bonus, and they broke as well, basically. Yeah. Shaken, wavering, steady. His cavalry is shaken, wavering, and as he advanced, my old guard broke, shattered. Ugly sods. And then I had this other unit of old guard to just take that chance and break them basically. And they were broken so far, and if you notice, the horses are still attacking, which is ridiculous. I mean, they are trying to rally, or in a moment they will actually be broken. Yeah. Now I ordered my old guards to move forward, but since they were still attacking, these guys will also break, which is silly. Anyway, meanwhile I'm bringing all my squadrons of cavalry forward, and this old guard unit is coming forward to close the gap here to prevent his superiority in battalions here to matter a lot. Meanwhile, these guys are exchanging fire and being successful. Anyway, see, we were broken. Because these guys are still withdrawing, they actually broke them. Silly. It's silly. This engine is as stupid sometimes. But this was quite a funny point in the battle, where my broken grenadiers are running away from this shattered cavalry, and Kaunitz, because we are playing without mods, didn't realize they were broken and thought I was like bayonet charging him. So he starts actually to pull out, so it actually worked out quite well. Meanwhile, my light infantry is wreaking havoc among these Fusiliers. I think I was explaining earlier about light infantry, sorry, it's kind of hard to keep track of everything once battle is joined, even though it's a 1-to-1 scale. So I started to pull out this unit because it was too isolated for my taste. And I had my cannons here. But my grenadiers, see, Kaunitz is still trying to deny my flank from a broken unit. They will come back though, and be very helpful. See the carnage here. Remember that each soldier that dies, each model soldier represents 4 real soldiers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 36 dead soldiers, that's quite steep. So, since I only had 1 battalion here, I had to change my tactics accordingly, because basically my brigade was pretty much shattered. My flanking brigade lost, so I had to pull my reserve battalions from the center brigade and trying to form another attack force. This attack group was actually very successful, as we'll see later in game. Anyway, these guys finally came back, which is good, and these guys are actually running away now, and Kaunitz here probably realized. I mean, thank God he didn't shot at these guys. If he had shattered them, it would be a lot more complicated. Well, at least in my mind, because as we'll see later, I still had troop superiority in the field. Anyway, my light infantry keeps on firing. They behaved rather erratically, actually. There was a point where here Kaunitz's artillery starts shooting, so I ordered 1 unit of voltigeurs to target his artillery specifically. And they were actually quite successful at that. These troops had no auto-fire still on, so I had to take it off. You can see the rampage that artillery causes. Anyway, I'm moving my dragoons now to this part of the flank to try and outflank them here. And I had to take my fire at will from these units because they are firing very ineffectively. This mod is a lot of counterintuitive, so at the moment. The next version it will be much better, as Kaunitz told us. I actually wanted to see how effective were the voltigeurs versus the cavalry, because they killed quite a few, if I recall, around 40% of the unit, but I wanted to see how long did it take them. They are suffering a bit from artillery. I don't know if troops in open order, which are actively seeking protection, should receive such high casualties. 9, so, well, at least they killed back. And I order my infantry line to move a bit forward, and my voltigeurs as well, to get near to their artillery. So, how did I lose this man? Were my voltigeurs the sole reason for this? Oh yeah, they were, which is actually good. The voltigeurs have the light infantry has in general, not just the voltigeurs, have a role to play, and historically they did play this role of targeting enemy artillery soldiers. in order to reduce their effectiveness and force them to cover, at least stopping them shooting. This is quite important, to stop them shooting. Now these guys are just firing a bit. Now they are quite fresh, and they are just pouring some fire. Not very effectively because of the terrain, but well, it did something. And at least forced him to withdraw from that flank, because he didn't have any strength, enough strength. So he's trying to pull back. I thought at this moment that because he had lost his cavalry... Oh, my National Guard broke again, yeah. Kind of forgot that. I thought that because he had lost his cavalry, he was actually trying to withdraw to a tighter location where he could withdraw his troops and get to the near of the map, because that's some of the house rules we play. If you can get to the near of the map, you can withdraw your army. You can get near the end of the map. So at this moment I decided to press forward a bit more aggressively, and thank God for that. Yes, this is where the unit started to run. I accidentally gave wrong commands to this unit instead of this one, and then I ordered them backwards and they just broke, which is weird. Anyway, this is still holding fast. My main problem with light infantry at this moment in this mod is that there are too few. With the double cavalry squadrons, with double the cavalry number because of the double squadrons, we just have that many more battalions. I mean, on average it's 3 or 4 extra battalions per battle. So light infantry just plays too little role, because we just have a lot more units. Anyway, I'm now advancing with my attempt at his center. Well, what I aimed here, since he was repositioning and it was in a very defensive position, and these units, and these were very separated, I wanted to break his center, only the formation took this very ugly aspect of trying to encircle them in the beginning. But anyway, let's see how it goes. And my dragoons are advancing as well. And these guys, yeah. Well, they broke, but these ones are okay because they have 15 units, which means casualties start to take their toll. It's roughly a quarter of the unit. Not roughly, it's a quarter of the unit. Here is some, you see some very long range musketeering. Very ineffective. Probably fire at will as well. Anyway, as soon as I reached this summit with my artillery, now I could start to, make artillery work their magic. And pay back to Kaunitz 1,000-fold for his daring attacks. Anyway, some musketeering had changed. Well, camera just shook because of the... And these guys are not firing at a will. Anyway, probably as soon as he saw my cavalry moving, he decided to withdraw. Now they're firing. Not very effectively, I'm afraid, but well, can't have everything. Now he's trying to focus these units here, but I actually saw that there was a kink here on the terrain, so he couldn't actually focus my units properly. And now my cannons are deploying, and my cavalry is deploying as well on the flanks, and everything is going according to plan, at least. So I made another attack column here in the center. These attack columns are actually quite effective, which is something great. Wow, awesome. But he didn't kill a whole lot, because as I said, he couldn't properly target the units. And this effect of, this silly effect of everyone falling to the ground is just another way of CA saying, yeah, we didn't even bother to take a look at how battles were fought back then. Anyway, I placed these 2 battalions in attack column, slightly protected by the terrain from their artillery and their infantry, and then I ordered a bayonet charge. The attack columns are good because if you order bayonet charges, you can have twice the number of battalions in the same area that one battalion is standing in line. So I just ordered this battalion to bayonet charge. You can see them starting to gain some cohesion. Oh no, they're still losing charging effects, didn't take into place. Now there you go. There they go. They're starting to gain cohesion. And there they go. Yeah. And as soon as I had this, wow, they were hurt more than I thought. As soon as I had this artillery battery controlled, meanwhile my cannons also wreaked some havoc. It's not just for you, Kaunitz. As soon as my infantry battalions were in position, they started firing against these German Fusiliers. I was paying attention to other parts of the battlefield. Yeah, I was repositioning my troops here, trying to advance a bit more. Then these guys just continued to fight against these guys, and I ordered these ones to go here to try and encircle them. We missed the breaking of my dragoons. It was actually quite a silly thing because I must have accidentally clicked on the German Fusiliers because I wanted to encircle them. And well, I couldn't. Anyway, these guys were broken, and now my battalions were running into position to bayonet charge downhill on his flank. And these guys were pouring some interesting fire. Yep. They were getting very tired of my firing. But it was worth it. At this point, his center effectively ceased to be. I effectively managed to break through his center, which is nice. He's trying to regroup, but he just doesn't have... His battalions can pass through the area of influence of my battalion without major losses and breaking. So I'm actually being able to divide his forces in two and secure the summit of the hill and bring my artillery forward. Now I'll send my cuirassiers to take care of the German Fusiliers with my grenadiers in support, and this unit is just advancing to here to pour some close range fire. And there go my cuirassiers. Yeah, they probably suffered. Still haven't got some friendly fire casualties, which is good. Didn't think I had, but I was a bit, you see my artillery firing effectively. Anyway. Oh, his cavalry was broken. Yeah, sorry. I always get the feeling that I miss all the action. He tried to charge my National Guard battalion here, my line infantry battalion, and still my attack failed. Now he's trying to pull his troops back, so I order a general advance, and my attack columns are just going. Yeah, he broke this squadron of cavalry, but yeah, these were shattered completely. But I just ordered a general charge with my grenadiers and my cavalry, which was then quite enough to break them. Should have ordered grenadiers sooner. And there they go, shattered, with no hope whatsoever. And my flanking infantry is just coming here to get at them. There they go. And I ordered the cavalry, I think, just to keep on moving forward and engage this battalion here, while this one was getting into its flank. Nice. Now this isolated battalion is, well, isolated. But the loss of cohesion from walking just makes your units all very tired or shattered. I'll see the number of troops that are charging these guys. Yeah, these cuirassiers were a very successful unit, one may say that. I think they eventually rout, but they come back though. And my National Guard, which is with very high cohesion because it just charged, just keeps on charging. Yeah, these were my cuirassiers, right? Yeah, right. Anyway, these guys still haven't given up, they're still firing. And my infantry just moving slowly forward while they're exhausting themselves. Sorry, let me just answer to Philip. Anyway, they are getting fired at. And they are going basic. And the bayonet charge was ordered. Here I go for Kaunitz himself, this general, and managed to successfully capture him. Which means, by rules of engagement, that he can never play his mod again. No, I'm kidding. He was just captured and tortured to give information on how to get to Vienna. He was forced basically to see Adam Sandler's movies time and time again, and Wolfsheiner, you know, just reruns permanent, with things on his eyes to keep his eyes open. Dreadful. You don't want to see a man after that. There he goes. And this was basically all their infantry was routed, and I just ordered to charge, like, you know, kill them all. Break this. And there you go. Battle won. I won the day. Hooray! These cuirassiers are going away, but they will... Yeah, there they go. They just returned. And I completely broke Kaunitz's troops. And this was pretty much the battle. Kaunitz still had some troops missing. They were here. I didn't realize that because it was very confusing at the time to see if he had all his army here or... So basically he detached the brigade and told them to come a long way around to try and flank me. Only it just took too much time. He was banking on that he could hold me, and he probably could have held me if he didn't also separated his cavalry and lost it all in the beginning, because if he had any cavalry left I would have to be a lot more cautious. This way I could be a lot more aggressive and just charge them. And, well, my superiority in numbers just dictated the battle by itself, and I think that using attack columns, which he didn't use, are very good tactics, because you can concentrate a lot of firepower, and not firepower, fighting power, and you can have a local superiority in numbers. But, well, thank God for that, because if he had managed to stall me enough for his brigade to appear, because I was clueless that he had a brigade coming to support me. So, if he had just... if he had attacked me in time, it would have been very bad for me. If he had managed to succeed in his flanking maneuver, in this daring flanking maneuver, well, his second daring flanking maneuver, well, he gave me quite a fright. Casualties were around 470 for Kaunitz out of 16 or 1700 guys, I don't recall, and 240 for me out of 1600 guys. So, yeah, I almost had 1,000 casualties out of 600. Ah, there it goes. 282 and 418. Yeah. Let's unit statistics. Oh, I didn't know you could do this. Oh, great. It's very fun. These are the cuirassiers that charge and kill all those guys. Yeah. So, well,